All right, Tyler, you get to do the intro.
Fuck, man. I need a little bit heads up on an intro. You can't just put me on the spot. You know how bad I am putting on the spot. Anyways, coming to you live from three separate planets in the sector. It's Fox Cascadia.
That
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 was wrong.
was
That's so bad.
that was high energy and
You,
exciting.
you need to give me like at least a couple hours notice.
All right, well, think of something. Can you think of something before the end? And I'll just cut it back in the minute.
Yeah, I'll try.
Cool, sounds good. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. Wrapping up a couple busy weeks at work. Um, this weekend was a blast. It was great to see everyone. It's just holiday season. Feeling good.
Yeah, we had the Red Gobbo Vacation Duel 2 at Deathtona down at Shiv Games, and we're gonna recap that. We all played some sort of it, and you were there, I was there, and Connor was there. What's up, buddy?
Not much, Glad to be back home. It was a good time seeing you guys this weekend, even if I got thoroughly smashed throughout it, but that's a little bit of a spoiler.
Yeah, thanks for getting my Phobos just dumpstered.
You're welcome. Chuck, it's my goal that anytime I borrow one of your teams to get as much bad luck out of them, so that way when you play them, they'll just be insanely good.
Well, based on what you did with my Blooded at the Coast and now my Phobos at Shiv, those teams are ready to rock.
Yeah!
So we all played this weekend at our second annual White Elephant tournament, and if you haven't been listening, I'm going to go over it either way. So this tournament ended up being 26 players, and everybody who came got a gift at the start. They were all wrapped. I think Meg and Tristan helped wrap
They
the
wrapped
night
all of them,
before. Yeah,
honestly, except for
that's
the two you did.
so Jenna wrapped two of them because I didn't wrap them either because I hate wrapping. But the presents were all wrapped, and there were varying levels of presents from full kill teams to a Baneblade, not a Baneblade, a Raider at the start. Everybody came up and picked out a prize and kept it with them, and then throughout their games, basically whoever won, we didn't unwrap them at the beginning. Whoever won got to either choose to keep the one they had or swap with their opponent. And then at the end, we unwrapped them all. So it was super fun actually. I think the unwrapping portion was probably the most exciting part of the tournament for me. Just watching everybody like tear into their presents.
Absolutely. And then watching people like go around and trade stuff. They'll be like, "Hey, I got this, I already got this. Anyone want to trade?" And like people swapping and finding stuff that they want. Just like communicating, being part of the community, engaging. Really what the event is about, and it was amazing.
Yeah. So spoiler alert: Brandon Bean won the entire thing with cops. It's not a spoiler. I guess you could look at the BCP stuff. Um, Connor and Tyler. Tyler, you went 2-1, and I went kind of a 2-1. Connor, did you go 0-3? Or oh no, you went 2-1.
Yep, somehow continue the trend of seeming to get a tie in like 3 out of the 4 tournaments I played.
So what presents did y'all end up with? I got a couple. I got 3 sets of tufts. Well, I got 2 sets of tufts and the laser cut plants, which I'm super excited to use. I've wanted to get those. I've never pulled the trigger on them, and then I got the scout cards too. And I've been slowly painting up the scouts. So maybe this is the indication that I need to actually play the scouts. What about you, Tyler? What'd you get?
I gave my gift away to Meg. For thanks for all of our help wrapping up stuff. So, I think it was judging by the size. I think it was some tufts, and some cards, most likely.
Then Connor, what'd you end up walking away with?
Pretty much the same stuff. I ended up with some Tufts and then a set of the Blooded data cards. I gave those away to one of my friends that came down with me, Matt, because he's been just got the Blooded painted up, so it was perfect fitting for him. And then I got like a hot pink set of alien grass, like an icy blue set of grass, and then some like pink flowers. So I'm pretty excited. Those are all some really neat Tufts.
Heck yeah. We went through and like tried to pick out the tufts based on the vibes of the team that they were getting. So, we tried to match them so that like everything kind of fit. So, give you guys some inspiration for future builds, stuff
Well, that
like
makes
that.
makes sense why I got the laser cut fronds or whatever they are for my scouts because uh, they go along with the scout cards. So Connor got some tufts, some cards, and shame. So that one was for free.
No, he worked for that. He
No,
worked
he worked
hard
hard
for
for that.
that.
Actually,
Yeah.
I don't even think he worked hard for that. Most of his games were done in like under an hour.
It's not my fault. I'm a very fast player, and playing elites is. I played elites for elites into elites for the first two matchups, so those are bound to be very quick games.
Let's, let's talk about the matchups a little bit. So, Tyler, round one, who'd you end up going against?
Let's see. Round one.
I'll
My
give you a hint.
memory's
It
already.
was Michael, Angels,
Yeah.
Angels of Death.
Angels of Death. Yeah. So that was a pretty straightforward game. I was playing Hand of the Archon. And they do really well into elites. I had a strong game. So did he. And I just kind of let off strong. The blaster did work. I think he killed all of the Marines. Um, he had a really strong turning point too. I think he really thought he was in control, but I kind of just held him back, didn't let him move forward, and then yeah, my blaster took out 6 Marines, killed the sergeant, assault intercessor sergeant in melee. My dice were hot, his dice were not so hot, but yeah, it was just it's a solid game. I came out ahead in that one in the end. So
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Did Michael have a specific chapter? It looks like he won 16-8. Did Michael have a specific chapter that he was rocking with the Angels of Death?
I don't remember what chapter he was rocking. Honestly, I was kind of honestly I was pretty sleep deprived last week. Going into the weekend really didn't help. I think I was on 2-3 hours of sleep going into the tournament. So honestly, remembering anything of what happened this weekend is a miracle. I slept for 11 hours on Sunday. Went to bed at like 6 in the evening. Like I was wiped out. So
I'm a big fan of that like early Sunday bedtime, so I cannot blame you at all. I think Jenna and I went to bed at like 9 last night, and we're recording this on a Monday actually. And the previous Sunday, I went to bed at like 6 p.m. It was awesome. Connor, you played against Nemesis Claw with CJ with my Blood Angels Phobos, and you lost 12-17. How did that game go?
It was a pretty good one. I think of all the elite matchups for Phobos to go into, Night Lords are the easiest because their whole thing is like, I am always obscured, and Phobos go, no, you're not. But unfortunately, it just didn't go my way. Into the Dark is always going to be a bloodbath, especially when it's two elite teams, and losing initiative every turn, still pretty brutal. So it just meant that I'd get charged by Butcher, kill him, and then Phobos. I think their biggest weakness into elites is oftentimes they'll have to spend 2 actions to kill one like Marine, while most other Marine teams can kill a Phobos Marine in a single action. So they're at a bit of for Phobos, it's weird the feeling, but they're at a bit of a action inefficient system.
Well, for being a good matchup into Nemesis Claw, you lost round one, and so Tyler's 1-0, Connor's 0-1, and I I had a rough day that day because the night before we went out for Jenna's holiday party with her company. For her company, we went to her office and had a few cocktails, and then we went out with her friend Audra and had a bunch more cocktails. So, and I underestimated my resilience, and I was real fucking hungover on Saturday. So drove my ass down to Shift Games, got there, and turned out we had a player that didn't show up. And Tyler's like, "Hey, this player hasn't showed up." I'm like, "I'll drop. I'm good. I'll drop." Because I was not in a like kill team mode. So I was super excited to be able to drop and hang out, help TO. We were kind of light on the TO side too, on the judge side. So I was gonna be able to go around and give half-assed decisions about rulings. And about 20 minutes into the first game, Church shows the person who missed the start of the tournament shows up and says, "Hey man, I thought we started at noon." Because he had been to a previous tournament, which was actually on a Sunday, and we started that tournament at noon. And if you look up Shiv on their website too, it says they open at noon. But Jeff is so nice to let us come in early on big tournament days. And Church is like, "Hey, can I play? I totally understand if I can't. I get it." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's play." Um, couldn't not let him play, and actually, honestly, like playing helped to take my mind off the fact that I felt like absolute dog shit. So my first game, I brought my Casterkin, and I was sitting there. I was like, right before we started, I was like, I had my death card with me, and I'm like, maybe should I play death card because I don't really want to think too much, and that's 6 activations, and they just go around and stink up the joint. And like, no, I'm gonna play Casterkin. So my first game was into to Church and his Hearthkin Salvagers on Into the Dark. I lost that game. I actually, it was closer than I thought it would be because Casterkin are dog water right now, and yeah, I lost 16-11. It was a good game. I honestly, I my dice failed me. It was the same dice that I brought when we played, Tyler. Those like
Get rid of them, throw them
I'm got
away.
I need to I've got the whole set of them. I think I've got 20 or 30 of those dice, and the 6 that have been just sitting in my set, like I've got to change them out because I've had luck with that set in the past, but they were absolutely failing me. And I whiffed on a bunch of stuff. I halfway through I tried a different set of dice. Those sucked too. Finally I landed on my Mox boarding house dice that I had. And those actually started to do good for me. And I lost. It was a tight game. Like I said, Into the Dark on against Hearthkin Salvagers, and it was fun. But I had so many shots that I just
Let,
whiffed.
let's talk about Into the Dark real quick. This event was a little different for Into the Dark, for than most events. I think any event maybe ever.
Yeah, I was. That's one thing I wanted to bring up is that we let Tyler build the boards because Tyler's the board man and also lives down the street from the shop. And I showed up and I was like, "What is all this stuff? All of these boards?" Because it wasn't the standard like GW stuff. They had scatter terrain. They used like the extra pipes that you have. There was a just kind of Tyler like freestyling on the boards, and it was way cooler because on the current sets of Into the Dark maps, you have these giant hallways that are just shooting galleries and there's no cover, and unless you bring your own cover, and Tyler created some cover for us, and I really liked the layout of the maps. I think that's something that we should do going forward, and I'd love to see some other people embrace it. So Tyler, you want to talk a little bit about your thinking behind that?
Yeah, basically, I was setting up the Into the Dark maps, and I was like, I fucking hate these. Layla, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I hate Into the Dark, but also I hate these maps even more. A lot of them are just like way too open. They don't feel fun. They feel like you're gonna run out and like go on guard, or whoever gets there first is gonna go on guard, and then that's it basically. Like, it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't feel good in my opinion, and I would just dug into my box of stuff and started throwing stuff in there. And Tristan and Meg, I was like, "What do you guys think about this?" And they were like, I like it. It looks cool. It looks fun." And so I just went around and I added stuff to all of the boards, basically. And then when I ran out of stuff that I wanted to add that night, I grabbed an extra little box of terrain, brought in the next morning, and finished off the boards and spruced them up. I thought it was really fun. I thought they looked great. Um, the overall response that I've seen has been really positive. So if you were there, post your feedback online. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice evolution of Into the Dark, and I can understand why they want their maps to be basic, because there's a bunch of sets of Into the Dark out there, and I understand that they want like standardized map packs. I know people love their map packs. And Tyler rages against the map pack machine, and I think it added a lot and it made those maps much more playable. With my Casterkin, I ended up playing 2 games. Spoiler, and played on the same map both times. But I didn't have to bring barricades. I was able to flex into some other equipment because I had some cover in those big rooms. So I think it was nice. Connor, did you get to play on any of those new Into the Dark maps that Tyler's working on?
Yeah, the first one I played was actually Into the Dark against CJ, and it was a good time. I'm trying to remember the map normal number, but I can't off the top of my head right now. But it was good. I liked it because it felt like you said you didn't have to bring barricades in order to have cover, and it kind of made Night Lords of all things, very solid in melee. So it was a much more fun dynamic of like I need to be careful because they have ways of getting around cover and stuff, or getting around into cover. Plus, it just it makes it look way cooler and feel like what a Space Hulk or a cramped spaceship would look like.
That was my like biggest feeling with it, is like how much it just added to the feel of the game. More than anything, like feeling like I was on a Space Hulk, like really like in the game. Even though like one of my matches on Into the Dark turned out horribly, Mandrakes, that was rough, with the extra cover and stuff like that. Not that it's already not rough, but like it was just fun. I like it. I definitely think I'm going to keep doing it going forward.
Yeah, I think it adds a little bit to the maps. I think that the End of the Dark is just it's really plain. I don't hate it like Tyler does, but it is pretty plain. And I think that I know you had in there, you had some barricades. You had some of the like big power generators from some of the End of the Dark stuff. You had the giant pieces from Beta Decima, not the big piece, but the big container pieces from Beta Decima in one of the maps. I think it added a lot to it and made it made the maps a little better for some teams. Like like you said, Mandrakes and Night Lords are gonna be benefiting from that. But I think it helped everybody too, because again, it didn't turn those maps of the giant open rooms into shooting galleries anywhere near as much.
Yeah, I also feel like it toned down some of those teams that are oppressive a little bit on Into the Dark, because they can like just run across and like there's not anything blocking them, because like you can't get anywhere safe on the first turn. It's so if they make the first move or something like that in position correctly, what are you gonna do? You just have to kind of hold back.
Yeah, I think we keep running that. So I think there's no, and nobody's to say what we can and can't do with our maps. This is honestly like with Volcus, this is the first time we've actually run, besides the Into the Dark stuff, we've run any like standardized maps, because all of the Octarius and all the other stuff we used was just kind of figured out by Tyler and Greg and whoever helped set stuff up anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to shout out to Dakota. Yeah, I had a phone call with him earlier that evening, and we were kind of talking about map packs and doing whatever we want with our terrain and our setting and stuff like that. And I decided to go for it. So shout out Dakota.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what he does with LVO and what him and Giacomo and Saya come up with as far as what they're going to do with terrain, since they had a lot of stuff that wasn't. I mean, it's not Volcus obviously for the terrain all they built. I mean, they had Into the Dark standard stuff, but didn't have. They had to come out with a whole new set, and they're going to have to. I wonder if they're going to do half Volcus, half Into the Dark for LVO. It's coming up, so.
It should be interesting. You're going now, right? You just got your ticket.
I am actually. I had yesterday. Sean talked me into going, um, so now I'm committed. I bought my plane tickets. I've got a room there, and I bought my ticket for the tournament. I'm not gonna go and try and like sweat it out. Last year I had grand delusions of actually like winning the entire thing. I'm mostly going to see people and have a good time. So I'm not going to worry about like winning the golden ticket or anything. I'm just gonna go and have fun. And that's kind of how I approached the tournament this last weekend too, which felt nice. Is like I didn't really care what happened. I know that like when I went to LVO earlier this year, which is wild, it's just this year still. I was laser focused on laser focused without actually having really practiced on like being potentially in the running for the golden ticket and winning the entire thing, and ran into Joshua Kelly in the first round, and that all changed. So this year is going to go with Sean and Bean, and I think maybe Zaren's going too, and just go and have a good time and see Dakota and Giacomo and Saya, and I'm sure the Kellys will be there. Go see Jimmy and tell him he's a hell of a guy in person, and yeah, I'm just excited to go hang out in Vegas.
Yeah, it sounds like a good time. I wish I could make it this year. I just don't think it's going to work out. So
Yeah, it's tough. You gotta budget for life, and
yeah, the life is expensive, man.
yeah, and so luckily I work for a giant corporation that lets me fund my stupid stuff.
Yeah, you get so much funds from them. You're able to rig elections now.
Yeah, that's actually yeah, like so Brandon Bean, I've had him on the show a couple times. Friend of the podcast, Connor's dad. He has a Patreon, obviously, and in his Patreon, he was trying to decide which team he was going to bring to the tournament, and he he was like, should I bring Blooded? I think Warp Coven was a idea. He talked about bringing. What else was he talking about bringing? You remember, Connor?
Zangor, or rather Warp Coven, but only one sorcerer and 10 Zangors was an option that I originally voted for. I was tied between that and the cops for me because I thought cops were pretty bad.
Well, he originally wasn't even going to bring cops. Cops was on the list. It was Blooded, Death Guard, a couple other ones, kind of meta stuff. And I'm like, hey man, like, I mean, Blooded's not meta, but Brandon makes it meta.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you should bring cops. And I know you don't have cops, but I have cops, and I will bring those cops for you. And he was saying something about me wanting him to play on hard mode, and people at that time. Zach brought up bringing, like you mentioned, one sorcerer and 10 Zangors, and that was kind of winning until I just decided to start bribing people. I said, whoever votes for the cops, I will give them $1 American for their vote, and like, yeah, buying elections is fucking sweet. And the cops won, and Brandon used mine. Connor, you got your buck.
I did get my $1. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
This is
and,
the only time we support the police on this podcast, by the way.
Yeah, but I'm actually I want to start a political action committee now. It was pretty sweet to be able to just be like, I have money.
Is that what PAC stands for?
Yeah.
Ah.
It was nice to be able to just be like, hey, I'm gonna spend some money and I'm gonna make this happen the way I wanted to. So I understand why the rich do it.
It's the root of all evil,
Yeah, but it is cool. So that's why Brandon brought cops, and Brandon ended up going 3-0. We actually had a couple people that went 3-0. None of us went 3-0. 2-1 was the best, and that was Tyler had a legit 2-1. I was a fake 2-1.
Yeah. I think if I wouldn't have got diced or ran into Hunter, maybe I could have pulled off 3-0. So
yeah, Hunter's like the Mandrake Master too. I played Hunter at Tacoma, and with Brood Brothers at the time, and I think he was just more scared of the Patriarch than anything, because Hunter's super good with Mandrakes. He actually wrote a guide too that somewhere in the Discord. We're gonna make sure we got that pinned if you're looking to play Mandrakes yourself.
Yeah, it was real rough, but we should probably cover round 2 of the tournament at some point.
Well, let's talk about your game, Tyler.
Yeah, I played Chris Dunshee. He's playing Goats. I was playing Hand of the Archon. And we were on Into the Dark, and Hand of the Archon, they kind of made a mess of Goats. They have all the crits that you need to be able to do it. I was just pretty effective on my positioning. Ended up my dice were also really hot. His were really mediocre at best. And he just, I just laid down way too much damage for him to keep up, and ended up tabling him end of or beginning of Turning Point 3.
Yeah, so you won that game 19-5. Connor, you played Emily, and Emily of the World Championships of Warhammer. She went and was one of the people representing us from the Northwest, and you lost 18-2. How'd that game go?
Yeah, that game was pretty brutal. For all intents and purposes, over by the end of turn 2. I think we finished the game in probably 30 minutes. It's just kind of the same problem. Legionnaires are very strong right now. We all know that. And, Phobos rely on good shooting for a decent amount. And so she brought a bunch of the Zinch operatives, I think. Or no, the Slanesh, where it's like I count as injured in both melee and, all those whatnots. So that was pretty brutal. And then just a similar problem, even more so exasperated by Legionaries. But I need 2 actions to kill 1 Legionary. A Legionary only needs 1 action to kill a Phobos. And turn 2 in, like, she killed one of my guys. I killed one of hers. We did that, like, back and forth 3 times. So, like, each of us only had, like, 3 guys remaining. And then I took a shot. Didn't work at all. Took another shot. Still didn't work at all. And that pretty much was the end of the game. It was a good time. It was really fun. Really quick. But, Legionaries are strong, and Emily's a very good player, so it was a fun match.
And before round 2, we had our lunch, and Connor was nice enough to pick me up a burrito from Muchas Gracias, a local Mexican chain here in the Northwest. And I think that burrito, like I said in the Venmo payment, saved my life, because I was, again, absolutely destroyed, hungover, and dying. And so I have to say, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you picking up that burrito for me. It was good too. It was spicy.
Nice. I'm glad to hear it was good. I tried to make sure it would be vegetarian, and he was like, "Yeah, it should be." I was like, "Oh, let's hope that's good enough."
Well, I mean, at that point, should be is was good enough for me.
Sweet.
I think that there's like a statistic that something like 80% of vegans end up eating meat when they're drunk.
Yeah, I don't. I mean,
I don't know if I believe it. It's probably just one of those made up internet
no,
ones.
I don't think so. I think it's a made up internet thing because I've never like eaten meat while I've been drunk, and I've not been the best vegan, which is why I'm vegetarian now. Plus, a lot of vegans have like I don't know, like a very adverse reaction to meat, anyways. Even like some vegans, not me, don't even like people eating meat around them. Um, that's not me. So I'd have a hard time believing that they would fall to the dark gods of delicious meat. My my round two was into Shayla, and I had McCaskill, Shayla brought Elicidian Star Striders, beautifully painted Star Striders. She had a little OSL on like one of the Voidsmen that had a little cigar. Also, her bases were amazing too, and she had the little asset ship too that I've seen a couple of the Star Strider players have.
I'm
So
glad you mentioned it because if you didn't, I was going to. Yeah, she had like one of the 3D printed like spaceships with the little order token to remember if she used the laser or not that round.
yeah, so we ended up playing on the same map that I played previously, and I didn't want to move anyway, so that was perfect. Um, I ended up beating Shayla. I think I beat her by about 5 points. She had, yeah, well, 4 points. I beat her 14 to 10. Hard fought battle, and she had a Voidsman that would not die. I plasmed the Voidsman. She mediced it. I shot the medic and the Voidsman, and they didn't die. I think I hit the medic with another plasma, and she had her medic there again. I hit him with another like blast, or like I was actually using the hotshot volley, which I've never done before, but I heard the sniper's kind of garbage now, and so I figured I'd try that, and didn't want to think about anything anyway. So I put probably 6 activations of shooting into that one Voidsman, and it would not die. It was pissing me off so much. And also space lasers. I hate space lasers because I'm like, oh, like I'm fine. Like she didn't bring grenades. I don't have to worry about this. And she's like, I'm gonna blast you. It's a 3-inch blast. I'm like, God, I hate space lasers so much. But it was super fun. We had a really good time. That Voidsman was 100% the MVP of the game, and that's the one that deserves a cigar afterwards because it took so much Casterkin shooting.
So, Chuck, if you had to say which one do you hate more, is it the torment grenade
Torment
from?
grenade.
Okay, and then space lasers are number two.
Space lasers are probably number two because I have not. I think I played Star Starters 4 times. I beat him twice. Cody's the one who's beat me twice with him. And Cody's super good with Star Striders.
He really is.
I played him twice at Tacoma. I played him one like friendly game at Tacoma, and then we matched up in the tournament. And I could not with Brood Brothers. I could not get on the space lasers.
Well,
And that was back when also space lasers didn't count as an activation. Space lasers were basically an extra activation too. So I think they have some different play now, but they're still just as nasty getting shot from up above. You know, like I'm in cover, I'm fine. Oh, you're just gonna shoot me from above. Great.
Do they have Seek now?
They don't have seek, but I mean, I think stuff switches to engage much quicker. But you measure cover from above, so you don't have to worry about. I mean, it's basically have saturate. They have essentially no. You don't get cover saves for them. So when they bomb you, they just
Yeah.
shoot you from above, even inside a space Hulk. But okay, that's fine. Aquilons can drop it from a space Hulk, and Vespid can fly around. So that's why can't you shoot space lasers from up above? So that was round two. Yeah, and had a great time with Shayla. Round three, and actually during middle of round two, Philip, who was there with Hyrotech Circle, came up and said, "Hey man, we have odd numbers." And I'm like, "Do you want to drop?" And he's like, yeah, he's like, I'm over Higher Tech Circle. Like, I'm done playing him. I don't think I really want. I'm like, I will, you know what? I will take one for the team and I will drop. So, didn't play round 3. And Philip listens to podcasts. So everybody say hello, Philip.
Hey,
Hi,
Phil.
Philip.
So thank you. Appreciate you listening. So I dropped round 3 so Philip could hang out and just enjoy some games too, because he was over High Tech Circle as well too. How did y'all's round 3 go?
Well, as I previously mentioned, I paired into Hunter. By that time of the day, my brain was pretty fried. Um, I got initiative turning point 2, and I, I messed it up. I like opened a door I shouldn't have, and yeah, he just ran over me at that point.
Yeah, it looks like that was a 6-18 loss, and I stopped over there to watch the Murder Elves versus Murder Elves, and I heard him mention something about like your dice rolls are great rolls, but not against this team or something. So it sounds like you were
Yeah.
like rolling hot, but not for mandrakes.
Yeah, so like every time I needed to roll 6s, I would roll 1s, even with ceaseless on stuff. It was like 1s back into 1s or 2s, and then when I needed to roll 1s and 2s, it was all 6s. Like it'd be nice to have gotten one or the other. Um, like my Sky Splinter assassin shot at someone, and I literally rolled all 1s and 2s, and then it already has rerolls, and then I spent a pain token for rerolls on the rest of it, and yeah, nothing, just whiff, complete whiff. And it just like I couldn't connect with anything. It was really really rough. I had 7 dead by the end of turning point 2.
Oof, that's kind of brutal. So, and it reflects in the score. Also, like I said, Hunter is this is Mandrakes versus Hand of the Archon. Hunter is a killer with Mandrakes. So that's a rough go for you.
Yeah.
Anyways, Connor, you went into Holly, Tempest's Aquilons versus Phobos Strike Team, and you pulled out a draw, 14-14.
Yes, I did. Yeah, it was fun because I've seen Holly at pretty much every one of the tournaments I've gone to, but I've never actually been able to play against her. So this was a fun time. And then more excitingly, she was playing Tempestus Aquilons, which is something I haven't yet faced in the new edition at all yet, which is pretty surprising, all things considered. But they've been a team I've kind of had my eye on because people said they're straightforward, and I was thinking, I'm like, you know what? I like straightforward teams. People called Hunterclade straightforward, and well, I think people over exaggerated it a little bit. I can't deny that like they were a straightforward team, and that kind of appeals to me because if I can know my team's like the back of my hand, I can worry about taking that straightforwardness and using it in ways people wouldn't expect and all that jazz. So I was really excited for the matchup, and they're good. Like they might not be like legionaries or warp coven or inquisition good, but 4-up save 8 wounds and hitting on 3s with the access to both a plasma, a melta, and then like a sniper or a turret. That's some solid shooting. And then mix that in with like it's my first time playing against them, and they're like, oh shit, they're just everywhere all the time because of the drop marker thing. Even though it's like, you have to be within range of that, that's still a decent chunk of the map you can cover with like the ability of like, I'm going to drop this melted 2 inches away from your guy and cover it. That's terrifying. And that's what she did. She managed to, kill, like outright table me. But thankfully I was able to just, use the good old Phobos. I'm going to tap the objective a bunch to beat her out pretty good in primary. I think I got 6 of that, and then we just happened to have matching scores everywhere else to get the draw for me. So it was a good game. It was really fun. And Holly said she had just listened to the podcast the night before. So Holly, if you're listening to this one, thank you. I hope you had a good game.
Yeah, that was another quick death for Connor, but it seemed like you guys were having a good time. You're hooting and hollering, so that's got to be a good sign, right? So for anybody who didn't listen to the last podcast, the missions we played, round 1 was upload, round 2 was coordinates, and round 3 was loot. So we chose those on the podcast, and that's what we ended up playing. So overall, at the end of the day, by the way, this was not a traditional Swiss tournament since it was for fun. We didn't hit that traditional Swiss button, so some of the matchups were kind of weird. As far as like the pairings and stuff, but we had Brandon Bean pulled out the number 1 place with my exaction squad actually. So I'll accept credit for that. Hunter was number 2 with Mandrakes. Josh Stroll, exaction squad as well too. So two cops in the top three. Emily was third, fourth with Legionary. Grant had Corsairs at fifth. Jeremy Spake, actually, another Exaction squad in the top six. And then we had Ivan with Legionary and Mike Mello with Corsair as well, too, at eighth there. So after I've got the video for it too. We can post it on the Instagram. And then after the final round, Brandon, being the winner, had a chance to swap his gift if we wanted to, and then we had everybody open presents at the same time, which was actually super fun. I wasn't there last year for it, and it was awesome to see everybody kind of rip through their presents and see what they got. So yeah, it was super fun.
I think last year was a little bit more chaotic because we could drink at that one, and boy, were people drinking. Especially with the parade going on and everything. But this year was a lot more put together, I feel like.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Real good time.
We the tickets were about $50 each, but all of that money went into the prizes. We basically barely broke even. So appreciate everyone who came out and played. Excited for next year, and maybe we can find a fun spin on something to do next year. I really wanted to take the time and make a gingerbread board, but I just didn't have enough time between when we decided to do this and with life. But maybe next year we'll actually get it. Jenna actually wanted to do like full on like Great British Bake Off and make our own gingerbread and stuff. I was just going to buy a kit off Amazon.
I think it'd be a lot of fun. So maybe we could have a meet up the night before the tournament. Have everyone assemble the terrain.
Yeah, we should do that, because that'll keep me from going to Jenna's holiday party and getting hammered in downtown Portland and feeling like shit the next day.
Or you can get hammered, then come build gingerbread houses with us.
What if we got hammered while building gingerbread houses?
All right, well, I'm crashing at your place then, Tyler.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the Red Gobbo Vacation Duel 2 at Deathtona. Gentlemen, any other last thoughts on our second tournament of third edition?
I like the name. It was fun.
Yeah. We're going to keep up with the fun naming scheme, hopefully all season.
Yeah. So I think one thing, I know, Tyler, you are anti cards, but I happen to be at Board Bard on Friday morning, picked up a little paint, picked up the provisional, I can't remember, the provisionally prepared. Is that what it is? The new Rattlings like display model. And the Casterkin cards were there, and I knew I was playing in the tournament the next day. I didn't know how crappy I'd feel the next day, but I picked up the Casterkin cards, and well, they were wildly overpriced. I really liked having on a small like card size. I liked having my operatives that I was using. I also really liked having my equipment too. I think that
with no book, I'll probably end up buying cards for Hand of the Archon, but I hope that they come out with a book. I'm a book guy.
Yeah, and see, I don't know. I liked having I did have my printed sheets for my strat ploys and tack ploys, or whatever the hell they are now, as well as my skill at arms, which is the Casterkin kind of faction rule. And then I had one other one. I can't remember what it was. But I had those 3 pages printed. But I had cards for my operatives, and then I had cards for my equipment, which I thought was super helpful, because I know that games that I've played without having the cards for the equipment, I've totally forgot about some equipment the entire game. And it was even like first game, I didn't have my grenade card out, because I'm like, oh, I know what the grenades are, and never used the grenades. Or first game. Second game, had the grenade card out with the rest of my equipment and made sure I actually used the grenade a couple times. So I am actually a big fan of those cards. I know you can actually just print them off if you from the app. If you send the cards, like you email yourself the cards or whatever, you can just print them from there. So I might do that, but I did really enjoy actually having the cards printed out for me.
Yeah, I probably need to print them out and get them bound into a nice little pamphlet or book or something like that, so that I can reference it, because that's just the easiest way for me to learn stuff, like how my mind takes in information.
Connor, you want to say something, or are you just gonna click?
No, I was gonna say, but then I lost my train of thought right as I unmuted. But No, the cards are definitely nice at the moment because the app's cool, but with how awful the app is about the data cards being in order for like the operative names, that's it's a bit of a slog sometimes trying to find the one you want to find, especially on a team like Phobos, where there's like a bajillion of them. But like Toasted, I hope there is a proper annual at some point because I would kill for that.
Yeah, I wish the cards were about half the price they are. I think that $30 for a thing of cards is pretty expensive, especially when it's just for your team. It is nice that every pack though does include the um, universal equipment though, so it has all of those in there, which is kind of nice, and it's got all your strat ploys and your attack ploys, and all your operatives. But I think $30 is a little spendy for them.
I would agree. That's a lot. That's an entire book. Like that's how much the season books were. You know.
Yeah, so but I know I'm if I find a team that I'm in love with, or maybe who I decide to take to LVO, I'll probably see if I can pick up the cards if they're out. But I'm not gonna pick them up for every time, especially since I have access to them in the app and can just print them up. So, speaking of LVO, it's time for everybody's favorite game show. Since I've actually been talked into going to LVO, we're gonna play the game we played, what should Chuck play? It's that time again. I have a major tournament coming up, and I have 6 weeks to figure out what I'm going to actually play. So,
Goats.
goats, you think so?
Yeah.
One thing is,
Just go all in. Go all
just
in on it, man.
I tried that for Tacoma. Remember, I dabbled in goats before Tacoma, and
Stop dabbling.
I don't know, man. I mean,
Unleash your beast.
uh, I don't know. Goats. I don't. I just never. I haven't vibed with the goats. Maybe I'll run. I do have the whole goats roster. Actually, going to paint up the one guy since I didn't have a legit goat sergeant or whatever the hell you want to call him. Um, goats are an option. I've got goats. I was kicking around this morning. I was kicking around Hearthkin Salvagers, but then got promptly shut down on Brandon's Discord by the number one dwarf fan Sean himself, saying that Salvagers kind of suck. Because I was listening to Just Another Kill Team podcast, and they had a guy on, and he was saying a lot of nice things about Salvagers. I'm like, yeah, okay, like I got most of the Salvagers. I could probably do that, and then it was shut down. So I was also thinking Rattlings, but I don't think that between them coming out in a week and a half and the time it'll take me to build and paint, I will get hardly any reps in before LVO, so that might be a giant failure. I do have the Ogrins already though, so I can start working on them. Connor, what about you? You got any ideas for me?
I mean, I'd just say go Casterkin, even if they're not good. You know the team relatively well, and you know at least. I imagine you at least still somewhat like their playstyle, and if you're just going for a good time, pick something you know you like.
Yeah, I did bring them last year though, or this year. It's still this year. God damn. And I would like to bring Casterkin. Maybe I would kind of like to bring something different. I kicked around maybe agents or inquisitorial agents, but I think that might be a little too big brain load for me.
That's fair. You could run your Phobos. They've got good luck on them now that I used all the bad luck.
You did get all the stink off the Phobos.
They're a little bit of like a brain load, but like a decent, a fun amount of brain load. You know, where it's like you still have like 6 unique guys type thing, but they're all relatively similar profiles.
I could go Angels of Death. I've got Death Guard fully painted up, so that's another option too.
Bring your cops.
Yeah, see, I don't think I'm smart enough for cops. I think cops take too much brain load as well too. So I that was another suggestion in the Discord there for Brandon, in Brandon's Discord. I'd like to. I wish they'd come out with Data Slate, and I hope they come out with it sooner rather than later, so I can kind of see where stuff's going to be, because that's going to make a big difference. If Casterkin got a little buff, that might be something to do. But it's something we'll continue to play this game every week, because that's what we're going to do until probably a week or two before LVO, when I actually decide. But I might try and get the. I'm working on the Ogrins right now. So I got the first one built last night, so I'm going to see if I can have those all ready to go before the box drops. And actually, I guess I've got two of the Rattlings. I've got the Ryan and Rouse from Blackstone Fortress, so I could start working on a Rattling paint scheme too. So, but we'll have to see. I've got some time to. I've got Mandrakes. Mandrakes are probably too complicated too. I got Blooded. They're probably too complicated. And Brandon's bringing Blooded. So, yeah. But if
Angels of
anybody,
Death.
yeah, I'm thinking Angels of Death. I do have a full Angels of Death. Um, I think I'd actually have maybe bring my Blood Angels though, because I think Blood Angels have more of the Sergeant options where my Templars I just have kind of the Justinian um, guys and then a couple extra guys. So yeah, I don't know if anybody in the audience has suggestions for me. Please throw them out there, and we'll continue to kick this around. Right now, I think I may run out the salvagers. Maybe I'll bring out the. I think I'm gonna try and get a game of Mind Taker this weekend, and maybe I'll either bring salvagers or goats and see if I can beat my head against one of those two teams. So
Blades of Cain. Mm,
Blades of
mm,
Cain, yeah, Blades of
mm,
Lane.
mm, mm, mm,
You know,
mm.
maybe they get that 3+ save. I did really. I had fun with Blades of Cain earlier
They're
this year.
fun. They're fun.
They were fun. Yeah, you played them. You played them. My Blades of Cain at
Yeah.
the coast.
Everyone loves Blades of Cain who plays them. They think they're
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, Blades of Cain. So that's an idea. I've got Jaegers built. I got Scouts built. Maybe Scouts got a buff. I don't know. I'm still just like a little over 24 hours from having actually decided to go to the tournament. Now I'm like, oh shit, I need to actually learn how to play Kill Team in this edition. So I need to
The
get some
Plague
watch games.
Marines.
Like maybe Plague Marines I feel like would be a good one too. I don't think know that Plague Marines will get touched. I think
Yeah, I don't
as
think
far
they
as for the
will.
data, you don't think they will?
No, I don't think they're gonna get touched. There's way more pressing matters.
Yeah, like Warp Coven Legionaries. Tyler, how do we fix Legionaries and Warp Coven?
So I think that like you revert the icon back to how it used to work in the last edition.
And how was that?
It and basically if the icon or the leader is alive, you just get one free ploy as long as one of them is alive. So that seems like a solid fix for me, rather than them generating hella CP always.
I feel like that's how a lot of teams work. Like that's how Casterkin used to be. You got more elite points. Like you get keeping your leader alive gets you extra stuff. Brood Brothers, you get a crossfire token if your commander's out there and still alive. Some teams generate extra resources, but yeah. So I think that seems like a good solution. Connor, you got any ideas?
Not really.
Like, I think that you also need to remove like a lot of the cross like buffs. Like why are Slanesh buffs affecting Corn and Zinch buffs affecting Nurgle? They shouldn't like it should have to mean something like rather than like it just goes like Super Saiyan mode when you have those operatives. You really should only get the benefit for the faction rules that you have the mark for.
See,
So
I don't know about that because as someone whose team is that subjected, like Hunter Clade, right? I wish Hunter Clade had the strategic ploys style that like Legionaries do, where while certain operatives on your team will get bonuses, it affect the entire team overall, rather than like, okay, this ploy only affects like a quarter or a third of my team. They're definitely really strong, but I think by just limiting the amount of CP they have by like nerfing the icon bearer would go a long way, so it doesn't just feel like they get to pop all four ploys every turn 2 and 3.
Yeah, I mean, like that would go a long ways, but like there's just like inbuilt like stuff I feel like they have with the marks that really power them up,
Mm-hmm.
and those spread across whether you have that mark or not. Like, why do you get the bonus? The ploys they could make it universal still. I don't care about that. Like that's just like the god acting or whatever. But like the buffs should only apply to the units because like right now it's like the buffs and then you get an even better buff if it's like it just gets a little crazy. It's like too snowbally on there.
what about Warp Coven?
I honestly I don't know about Warp Coven. They need a lot of toning back. They're just a little too much too
I wish invuln
everywhere.
saves were still a thing, but like because I understand that there's ones where it's like it's not affected by like AP or like or piercing at all, and then of course they have the piercing reduction ploys. But at the same time, like it sucks when not only do you shoot at them with a piercing gun so they don't lose the dice, but that save is still a 3-up rather than like the 5-up it used to be.
Yeah, that just sucks. Like it's real rough. Piercing just doesn't work against them. So
Also, maybe make plasma AP2 again, and instead of lethal 5, just piercing 2. Like I think I'm really glad Marines across the board got stronger, but I think the amount of overall game changes, like with piercing reduction across the board, Marine health going up, introducing uh, piercing ignoring ploys was just a tad too much, because like the number 2 ways to kill a Marine are in melee and going with a power sword, but most of them went up to 14 wounds, so power swords are not nearly as effective. And the other way was like plasma guns, but a lot of teams have access to plasma, some have access to melta, and very few have access to still like piercing 2 weapons. I'm curious to see what the game would look like if piercing 2 was still a thing.
Yeah, plasma is just basically kind of. I mean, it's good, but like, do you ever go hot anymore? Because especially if you're somebody who has a 4+ weapon skill, ballistic skill, you're just 50% chance you're going to hit yourself too.
Yeah. Plus, like, hell, a plasma gun doesn't even guarantee kill like a guardsman anymore, especially if you got a 4 ballistic skill.
Yeah, and you're just, I mean, the only difference is what you get lethal 5.
Yeah, and it's like maybe you get an extra crit, but if they're in cover, they'll just tank that crit and be alive with 1 health. If like, say one's a hit, one's a crit, and then you're on a 4 skill, 2 miss, like that's a pretty standard roll.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that having the plasmas without really much fear of the hot before was what made horde teams much more effective into elites, but now they don't have that, and I think that's part of the reason that horde teams are getting their butt kicked, because they just can't deal with it. Takes so much to kill an elite now.
Yeah, that plus I think overall all missions going down to 3 objectives, as well as for the most part a lot of crit ops. You like, I'm kind of sad we're only down, or not crit ops, excuse me. Tac ops is only a singular one, because it kind of means sometimes that like you just have guys that literally have nothing to do. They can't go tap a primary because you already got your 2 points and you already did your tac op for the turn. So you've got like 3 bodies that just kind of sit there and maybe can get a shot off, but unless they've got a melta or a plasma, they're not really going to hurt those things.
I like to see the fact that elites are elite and they are strong, but there's got to be some way for those other teams to break through. And I think, like you mentioned, going down to 3 objectives and you lose the strength of their ability to tap a bunch of different points and keep you off stuff. So I don't know. Who knows? Hopefully data slate comes soon. November 20th. They had said it will be out in a few months, but
I know they hinted
early January.
Yeah, I'm hoping, because LVOs win
January
end of
16th.
January.
Okay, so yeah, as long as it's like early January, it seems possible to have that. And I know they're doing the 40K one. Probably, I think they've hinted it's coming in December. Odds are probably at the end of the month, like after they've done all their new detachments. Speaking of which, shout out to GW for doing 30 new detachments. That's pretty fun. Keep that style of just like free releases up for all your systems, because they did something similar with Legions Imperialis just a little bit ago. So we love seeing that. But yeah, hopefully if we get the Kill Team one's always been like within the same month, plus or minus a week or 2 of the 40K one. So if the 40K one comes out like late December, I think we're pretty guaranteed to get that early January.
Well, hopefully it comes sooner rather than later, because
Yes.
1, it's always super fun, but 2, I need to see what teams are going to be like for LVO. And again, I'm not really mostly going to go see people and hang out and have a good time and play a bunch of Kill Team. I'm not gonna try and sweat my brains off, because I'm not that good at Kill Team. So I like painting and I like throwing dice, and I'm not too worried. I got lucky with Cascadia for a while, but now I'm fine being mid-table.
Hey, for what it's worth, your painting's absolutely goddamn gorgeous.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that.
As someone who got to check out your models this weekend, they are beautiful.
Yeah, I feel like the Phobos turned out really good. I have Blood Angels down to a science, so it's and since you're running my Blood Angels Phobos, that was a nice to see him get some run, because I think half those models have never actually even been played with before.
No, I'm glad to put that bad luck out of them. Yeah,
Yeah, no, actually,
I took the curse, like where you paint up a model and then it's never good.
Yeah,
or like
that
the first game you use
the
it
new
in.
paint curse. Yeah,
Yeah.
apparently it goes for like 2.5 games.
Well,
And then Brandon has more games with my Arbites than I do now. I think I played two games of them when they first came out, and then they sucked. So I went straight back to Castrican. So he's got more games of those now. So and actually, and I'm trying to think, I played a few games with Phobos, but I never had the full roster because then by the time I got close to the full roster of Phobos, it was when Intercession came out, and I like Shiny Marines, and those were the Shiny Marines at the time. Gentlemen, you got anything exciting on the hobby table? Tyler, you got your Volcus boards out. We're looking really good. Connor, I know you were working on some Phobos for this tournament, but and actually, Connor, I'm curious, has this made you decide to lean into Phobos more, or are you still searching?
I definitely enjoyed them. I might kind of lean into them, but I think like we've already hinted at, the data slate is a big thing for me. I really want to see where we're at because at the moment my kill team juice is lower than it's been in a while, which is a real shame because I really enjoy this game, but I'm not having that same scratch to play it. Um, in
I
term,
feel like you're not the only person though. I know that there's been a few people that have expressed that while this I think this edition is good, I think it's kind of people. There's more people than I thought that were really like one team people that their one team hasn't been good and they haven't found anything new that they love yet. So hopefully they can.
yeah, I'm definitely hoping it that something clicks because like I like the game, I like playing it. But just not even just beyond that, I think just the style of the game shifted very significantly, and that's just going to take some readjustment period. And part of it is I just don't want to put in a bunch of reps trying like 5 different teams, every other week. Uh, when the game is in my opinion, not like an unbalanced state, but just a wacky state. I think the power levels across the board are very up for some teams and very down for others. Like breachers are God knows what to not suck. Um, but just there's just a little bit of that. Beyond that, I'm kind of wanting to do some 40k for the first time in a while because all the new detachments came out and they look pretty fun. The AdMech one is actually exciting for the first time in a while, and then they released the Knights one today, and both Chaos and Imperial Knights both got some really cool ones, and I have both of those Knights, so who knows? Maybe I'll try out some Knights in 40k.
Tyler, what about you? What's up next on the hobby? Or I know you've been all into murder elves and staying with the murder elves. What's next for you though?
Well, I mean, like Rekka Crew looks really, really fun. I haven't painted on any orcs in a while, so I need to kind of come up with something I'd want to do with that. Tiny little kit bashes and stuff, and you know, I think I'll paint up those pretty quickly once they come out. And then I've got lots of terrain that I'm just constantly working on. I'm gonna I got some ideas. This weekend inspired me, but also with my new bookshelf setup, I'm able to just kind of like reach behind me every time we're on the podcast and just add little details to stuff. So I'm actually making really good progress lately on stuff every week. I'm getting an hour solid of just like tedious little streaking grime applications and things like that.
I'm working on the Ogren. Um, I want to have the Ogren ready, at least built, probably primed, and maybe I can get some paint on them before the Rattlings box comes out. I am excited. I'm interested to play the Rattlings. I think I enjoyed the kind of shooty horde team when I was playing Brood Brothers. I think this is going to be a real different shooty horde, and it's a different meta, obviously too. But it sounds cool that you can flex into the Ogren as well. So I'd like to
Well,
be
I
able
think
to.
you have to flex into the ogre, and otherwise you have what 65 wounds.
Yeah, you're real squishy, but it's funny because you can swap out and get like right to like 95 all of a sudden. So we can maybe we'll dig into that a little bit more next week. We'll dig into those teams and give you our shallow dive that we do. Maybe we'll pick one week and one the next week. So I think we're also gonna in a couple weeks I'm just gonna we're gonna do that the thing that entertainers do and do the like recap episode where I'll just splice together our interviews for the year so we can actually take a week off of this. So, but um,
Oh yeah, definitely think we deserve to do that.
I
And
mean,
then we
this is
come back even stronger for year 2.
I don't know about stronger, but this is 46 straight weeks, so we're keeping the streak alive. So I'm a big streak guy. Got my hobby streak that's coming up on 4 years strong. So yeah, it's
That's impressive. That's really impressive.
I mean it's I've talked about it before. It's had its various iterations. Like my hobby that I'm doing tonight is talking to you guys on the podcast. My hobby that I did on Saturday was being hungover and playing a few games of Kill Team. Yesterday I built an ogre, so there's as long as I'm doing something other than just buying shit or watching YouTube, I'm counting that. A lot of days, it's just organizing my my space. So
How long do I have to stand with my hands on my hips and look at my models on my shelf for it to count as hobby time?
4 hours.
That's a
Oh,
lot.
ooh, that's a lot.
Yeah. So I'd probably just sit down and like paint for 30 minutes.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, so, well, gentlemen, thanks for joining. We don't have any tournaments on the calendar yet. Tyler and I are gonna reconvene off the air later this week, I think, and do some 2025 planning. So we'll definitely have Kill Scream 4, as well as CritCon 2, probably first weekend in October, but we haven't nailed anything down for that. And we'll intersperse some tournaments in there. Probably get a tournament up in Connor's in neck of the woods too.
Yes, please, because that'll force me to finish painting all of these fucking terrain boxes I got. Nothing like a good tournament to motivate you.
Start getting it done, my man.
I am slowly, but no, it always helps to have an end date and goal,
Yeah, no, it's that's what got me painting my Volcus. Now my Volcus is 2 of the 3 Volcus boards are in a very very haphazard state that
They
I'm
look
not
good,
happy
man.
with. I appreciate it, thank you, but I got a lot of work to do on them to pick out some details and stuff to get them where I'd like to be. But so we'll have some tournaments coming up soon. Probably I don't know. Look at doing one maybe February. And probably look at doing another one in April. Maybe we'll get up to Connor's neck of the woods in May. I know that LVO is going on next month. March is Adepticon. Early March is also Sean's hosting an event up kind of near Connor. It's going to be a golden ticket event. It sounds like 2-day event up there. So there's some Northwest tournaments coming up, and we'll add to that too. So Tyler, you got any new designs coming out or anything? I got my shirt this weekend. I haven't had a chance to pop it on, but it looks fantastic.
They came out incredible. No, nothing new for the moment. Keaton is working on something for me, and then Eddie, who was at the convention, is going to be working on something for me. So we do have a couple things like coming up next year, but it's like slow coming. Going to be doing a Blood Angels shirt.
Ooh,
like that.
Yeah. So
nice.
It'll be good. So
yeah. Well, again, thanks everybody for listening. If you haven't a chance, go back and listen to our Thanksgiving episode. That was a fun one. Also, last week was just kind of us bullshitting for about an hour. We talked about Kill Team for maybe about 10% of the podcast, and the rest of it was just kind of some boys hanging out. So, and also, if there's something you'd like to hear on the podcast, or something you like, or something you don't like, let us know. We'd love some feedback. We just kind of scream into the ether and so any feedback is a gift. It's what they say in the corporate world. So, and we'll hear what you want
I
from us.
like that up until you said that.
Well, I mean, it's true. I mean,
it's true, but just you had to mention the corporate world. And that.
Yeah, well, you know what? I've been a corporate shill for like 25 years. So
Chuck, it's Monday. It's so brutal right now.
I know, but I mean, I did my corporate job today, so that's how it works. All corporate, all the time, for the man.
No, Chuck, no, please.
Yeah. So, well, dicehero.bigcartel.com is where you can find Tyler stuff. Also at Lowbrow Minis on Instagram. Connor's at Spanaway on everything.
Still don't sound quite that much.
Yeah. I hear it. I'm at Painted Cave Minis on Instagram. Don't have much going on with that, and we're at Box Cascadia on Instagram. And Connor, you've said you've been keeping up, but I have looked and haven't seen many posts. I don't know, maybe you're doing stories, but I don't go on there and look at stories much.
I put try and put a story up like every other day, especially when we have a new episode, and I have the Mechanicus Monday, and then we should have the weekly post going up.
Well, let's make sure we do,
or else you'll fire me.
We'll fire you. Yeah.
Shucks.
Get a new social media manager.
True. We'll throw that into the budget.
Yeah,
Yep, absolutely. Mm-hmm. We're hiring. Pay is nothing.
Pay is negative.
No,
negative
that's not
$2.
true. I will send them a bunch of Space Marine like unhelmeted heads because I need to get rid of them.
Yeah, you were.
Why don't you just learn how to paint faces?
I don't want.
Yeah,
I
throwing me a lot of shade for my my unhelmeted because my Phobos are probably like 50% unhelmeted.
They are, and they're listen. It's not so much. Part of it is I don't want to bother to learn paint faces. I will at some point. But the other thing is I just think it's stupid to not have a helmet on unless it's like a named character or like a homebrew captain. Put your helmet on. You're in a war zone. I don't care how much of a plot armor you have. Unless you're a Primarch, you're going to get shot at some point.
Yeah, I mean, but like they're dolls.
I mean, you're right, but they're dolls that are simulating a war zone or something.
Yeah, they've got to be accurate to the war zone. There's no fantasy allowed.
Nope. Listen, I'm okay with the power of chaos gods and technology and faith protecting you. All that jazz. That's all dandy. But the laws of physics state if you get shot through the brain, you die. That's an undeniable truth.
The Emperor protects.
The Emperor protects only Space Marines and like Angels of or Sisters of Battle.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. Space Marines.
Yeah, Phobos.
No,
yeah.
Put your helmet on. You're not a named character. You're gonna get shot. There's canon bits of this where it's one of my favorite like jokes in one of the Horus Heresy bits is an Iron Warrior sees like an Imperial Fist Sergeant or something without his helmet on, and he's like, their faith in the Corpse Emperor means nothing, and like headshots him. And I was like, you know what? That's true. I'm glad like one of the authors poked fun at it.
Yeah, faces aren't that hard, dude. Honestly, like faces are basically like painted flesh tone.
Mm-hmm.
Wash it, highlight go back with that flesh tone and highlight it again, and then maybe get another little like highlight color. The eyes are the worst part.
I wouldn't even bother with eyes for now. Part of it is I don't want to paint faces, but I also just mean like each kit for Space Marines, gives you like 10 unhelmeted heads. I'm never going to paint all of those. I've got like 90 of them, so I'm just trying to get rid of them.
Well, you can also use them for, that's a lot of good basing bits there too.
Mm-hmm. You never know, man. Like one day you're going to be like, fuck, I shouldn't have got rid of all those heads, those helmetless heads.
That's why I never get rid of anything.
Absolutely.
That's just called hoarding.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't have a house yet. I need to buy a house, then I can hoard.
Bits library.
Bits library. That's one of the best things about being a homeowner is the fact that I have more space to fill it up with shit that I don't want to get rid of.
I'm very jealous of that fact.
Yeah, well, maybe someday the economy will crash and you can afford a home again too.
If only.
Yeah, well, that's what you get for being born later.
I'm sorry.
So, I mean, I missed the boomer. I should have bought a house in the 70s when I was not born yet too. So, but I luckily I timed it enough, but nowhere near as much as the people that bought a house for like $12 and sold it for $1 million. So, but anyways, that's been your Reagan fucked us segment of the podcast. So, well, gentlemen, I'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.
Have a great night, everyone.
Yeah.
Good talking with you.
And happy holidays. We're getting around that season. Chuck, end the podcast with Mariah Carey this time around.
We'll get I would say demonetized, but we'll get a copyright strike. Also, don't say fucking Merry Christmas, okay?
What did I say? I thought I said Happy Holidays.
You did say Happy Holidays.
Okay.
Can't say Merry Christmas. This is the war on Christmas.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. We are officially sponsors of the war on Christmas.
But I like Christmas. I like Elf. It's a fun movie.
Sorry.
Woke podcast.
Yeah, we are a woke podcast.
Great.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, turn into
I hope that some anti-woke people hear this in the Warhammer community and rally against us, talking about how woke we are on our podcast.
I mean, if they haven't if they've listened to any other episode, they will understand how woke we are. So, I mean, one of my favorite quotes. I need to go back and find it. Is when Tyler, we're talking about something about the cops, and Tyler's like, "Yeah, fuck the cops, ACAB." It's like burned into. It's like a core memory for me now.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even talk about the hero this week, the Adjuster.
Yeah, well,
Like,
the adjuster. I love that nickname.
that's so good.
Yeah,
So it's going to be an interesting 24 hours. Apparently, they have a suspect.
yeah. No, he's
So,
got a six pack.
He's a hot looking dude.
absolutely.
He's
Yeah.
very hot. So
Yeah. Very,
yeah.
very connected also. Apparently, he's like a cousin to a state representative, and his family owns a bunch of like private golf courses and
I think
stuff. So,
his family is in the like medical industry somehow too.
yeah. So this should be interesting if it's him.
Yeah.
Listen, he's got a nice smile. One mistake shouldn't affect him for the rest of his life, you know?
And he's a white guy too.
Exactly.
Come on.
It's
I thought we all had.
Yeah.
Where's the card? I
Yeah.
thought we could play the like white privilege card.
Well, his name's
Take it.
he's very Italian sounding name, so I keep seeing people post that like Sopranos. It's anti-Italian discrimination meme, man. You know what? Why not? JD Vance had some weird stuff about like Irish and Italian people apparently, so why not bring those memes back?
JD Vance
Yes.
says a lot of weird stuff.
I know,
Unless he
I'm just
fucks the
saying.
couch.
All right. Good night, you guys.
Before we devolve even further.
All right, bye.
Bye. Mariah Carey, go.
Sing it. Connor, you wanna sing
I
it
honestly
again?
can't remember how the song starts. All I remember is, all I want for Christmas is you.